Story 1. Eclipsed Shadows. The small remote town of Ravenscroft was shrouded in an eerie stillness as night descended, and an impending solar eclipse cast an ominous shadow over its inhabitants. A dense fog crept in from the nearby woods, cloaking the narrow streets in a chilling embrace. This night, however, was destined to unravel a sinister tale that would haunt the town for generations. In the heart of Ravenscroft stood an ancient mansion known as Blackthorn Manor. Abandoned for decades, it was rumored to hold a dark secret. As the moon began to blot out the sun, a group of curious teenagers decided to explore the decaying halls, drawn by a mixture of teenage rebellion and morbid fascination. The air inside the manor was thick with the stench of decay, and the creaking floorboards echoed through the empty halls. The group ventured deeper into the mansion, guided only by the flickering light of their flashlights. As the eclipse reached its peak, an otherworldly silence fell upon the mansion. In a dimly lit room, they discovered an ancient book bound in cracked leather and adorned with faded symbols. Intrigued, they began to decipher its pages, unwittingly invoking an ancient ritual that had long been dormant. The room seemed to come alive with whispers, shadows dancing on the walls, as an unseen force awakened within the mansion. Suddenly, the group found themselves trapped, the doors and windows sealing shut with an ominous click. Panic set in as the walls seemed to close in, and the air grew thick with an oppressive malevolence. Unseen hands seemed to grab at them from the shadows, and ghastly whispers filled the air, recounting tales of the mansion's dark past. As the eclipse waned, the mansion transformed into a nightmarish labyrinth, with shifting walls and corridors that led the trapped teenagers deeper into the abyss. Each step forward only plunged them into more sinister realms, where reality twisted and contorted into grotesque shapes. One by one, the group succumbed to the malevolent forces that lurked within the mansion. Whispers turned into blood-curdling screams as the shadows claimed their victims. Desperation fueled their attempts to escape, but the mansion seemed to feed off their fear, becoming a living entity that reveled in their torment. In the final dimly lit chamber, the remaining survivor faced a ghastly apparition, a spectral figure cloaked in darkness. It spoke in a haunting voice, recounting the curse that had bound the mansion for centuries. The survivor, paralyzed with terror, watched as the shadows enveloped them, the room echoing with agonized wails. As the eclipse released its grip on Ravenscroft, the mansion returned to its dormant state, concealing the horrors that unfolded within its walls. The town would forever bear the weight of the unsolved mystery, with the mansion standing as a silent sentinel to the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface. Years passed, but the memory of that fateful night lingered in the town's collective consciousness. Ravenscroft became a place where shadows whispered of the past, warning those who dared to tread too close to Blackthorn Manor. And so, the mansion remained, a macabre monument to the eclipsed shadows that refused to fade away. Story 2. The Lurking Silence. In the quiet town of Evergrove, nestled at the edge of an ancient forest, there stood an abandoned asylum known as Hollowbrook Sanatorium. Its towering facade, weathered and worn, bore witness to a dark history of madness and despair. Local folklore spoke of the wailing cries that echoed through its empty halls, and the townsfolk dared not venture near its decaying gates after sundown. As the full moon cast an ethereal glow over Evergrove, a group of thrill-seekers, drawn by tales of the asylum's haunted past, decided to explore its depths. The air was thick with tension as they approached the imposing structure, its windows shattered and its doors hanging askew. A foreboding silence enveloped the asylum, broken only by the rhythmic chirping of crickets. As they crossed the threshold into Hollowbrook, an oppressive chill settled upon them, the temperature dropping inexplicably. The group navigated through the dimly lit corridors, their footsteps reverberating through the empty halls like a distant heartbeat. The eerie stillness intensified with each passing moment, creating an atmosphere charged with anticipation. Deep within the asylum, the group stumbled upon a room with walls adorned with faded murals depicting tortured souls and faces contorted in anguish. In the center of the room, an old rusted gurney stood as a macabre centerpiece. Unbeknownst to them, the sanatorium held a malevolent force that had long lain dormant. As they delved deeper into the asylum's secrets, the group uncovered a series of patient records that revealed a dark experiment conducted by the sanatorium's former director, Dr. Nathaniel Blackwood. His quest for forbidden knowledge led him to perform twisted experiments on the patients, pushing the boundaries between the living and the dead. As the group pieced together the fragments of Hollowbrook's tragic history, an unseen presence began to manifest. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision, and the air became charged with an otherworldly energy. Whispers, soft and sinister, echoed through the halls, recounting the tormented souls that still lingered within the asylum's walls. With each revelation, the asylum seemed to come alive. Flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, and distant footsteps echoed through the corridors. The group's unease deepened as they realized they were not alone. Something unseen lurked in the shadows, watching their every move. As the group reached the heart of Hollowbrook, they discovered a hidden chamber where Dr. Blackwood's experiments had reached their horrifying climax. A spectral figure materialized before them, clad in a tattered lab coat, its eyes glowing with an unholy light. Dr. Blackwood's malevolent spirit revealed itself, condemning those who dared disturb the asylum's tormented slumber. Panic ensued as the group tried to flee, but the asylum seemed to resist their escape. Doors slammed shut, trapping them within the labyrinthine corridors. The temperature plummeted and a suffocating darkness enveloped them. The spectral figure of Dr. Blackwood closed in, his ghastly visage a manifestation of the asylum's tortured past. In a final desperate attempt to escape, the group stumbled upon a hidden passage that led to the asylum's underground catacombs. As they navigated the damp and claustrophobic tunnels, the whispers grew louder, recounting the sins of the past and foretelling the doom that awaited those who dared defy the lurking silence. Emerging into the moonlit night, the survivors found themselves outside the asylum, their breaths visible in the cold air. Behind them, Hollowbrook Sanatorium stood as a looming silhouette against the night sky, its secrets buried once again. The group, forever changed by the harrowing experience, carried the weight of the asylum's lingering silence, a haunting reminder that some horrors should never be unearthed. Story 3: The Haunting of Harrogate Manor. In the heart of a desolate countryside stood the imposing structure of Harrogate Manor, a mansion with a history steeped in darkness. Abandoned for decades, the mere mention of its name sent shivers down the spines of the neighboring townsfolk. Legends spoke of the tragic events that unfolded within its walls, events that left an indelible mark on the mansion's very essence. As the autumn leaves rustled under the weight of an impending storm, a group of paranormal investigators arrived at Harrogate Manor. Eager to unravel the mysteries that clung to the mansion like a suffocating fog, they carried an array of devices designed to capture the supernatural. The atmosphere inside the mansion was thick with a tangible unease as the investigators crossed the threshold. Broken windows allowed slivers of moonlight to pierce the darkness, casting eerie shapes on the dilapidated walls. The air seemed charged with an unspoken tension, as if the very soul of the mansion recoiled at their intrusion. The group made their way through the echoing corridors, their footsteps resonating through the emptiness. Flickering candlelight added to the spectral ambiance, and the creaking floorboards beneath them seemed to whisper secrets long buried in the mansion's past. Unbeknownst to the investigators, the walls of Harrogate Manor held memories that refused to fade away. As the night deepened, the investigators delved into the mansion's history. They uncovered tales of a wealthy family, the Harrogates, whose lives took a tragic turn when a series of unexplained deaths plagued the household. Dark rumors spoke of a curse that befell anyone who dared to call the mansion home. In a forgotten chamber, the investigators stumbled upon a collection of old photographs that depicted the Harrogate family in happier times. Yet, the eyes of the family members seemed to follow them, their smiles distorted into haunting grimaces. It was as if the very portraits held the souls of the departed, silently pleading for release from the mansion's grasp. As the investigators continued their exploration, strange occurrences intensified. Unseen hands brushed against their skin, cold whispers echoed through the halls, and distant cries reverberated in the air. The mansion seemed to come alive, responding to their presence with a malevolent energy that transcended the boundaries of the living and the dead. In a forgotten attic, the investigators uncovered a hidden journal that chronicled the descent of the Harrogate family into madness. The final entry spoke of a forbidden ritual, an attempt to commune with the spirits that had claimed their loved ones. The investigators realized with a chilling certainty that they had awakened something within Harrogate Manor, something hungry for the living. As the storm outside raged, the investigators found themselves trapped within the mansion's grasp. Doors slammed shut, and the corridors shifted, twisting into nightmarish mazes. Desperation set in as the spirits of the Harrogate family manifested, their mournful wails echoing through the mansion. In a grand ballroom, the investigators confronted the vengeful spirits, their ghastly forms swirling in a macabre dance. The air became charged with an otherworldly force as the spirits sought retribution for the intrusion. The investigators, paralyzed with fear, witnessed the manifestation of the curse that had tormented the Harrogates for generations. In the aftermath of the supernatural onslaught, the storm outside subsided, leaving Harrogate Manor in an eerie stillness. The investigators, changed by the harrowing encounter, stumbled out of the mansion, their equipment abandoned in the wake of unimaginable horror. Harrogate Manor, now cloaked in an eternal darkness, stood as a monument to the haunting that lingered within its forsaken halls, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left untouched.